שמש דקה ומרפא בכנפיה.
After Ploni Almoni had said yes, that he had agreed to buy the field of Elimelech, Boaz came in and added another condition. Then Boaz said, "The day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the widow of the dead, in order to perpetuate the name of the dead on his inheritance." Boaz is here connecting something with the redemption of the land, which is nowhere else in the Bible associated with the redemption of the land. In overall context of the book of Ruth, however, this is actually logical. We're talking about the Levirate marriage. The term Levirate marriage comes from the Latin word levir, which means brother-in-law. The custom of the Levirate marriage is mentioned for the first time in the whole Bible in the story of Judah and Tamar, after the death of his firstborn son Er. Judah says to Onan, his second son, "Go in to your brother's wife, Tamar, and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her. Raise up offspring for your brother." Actually, both Tamar and Ruth are explicitly and prominently mentioned in the family tree of Jesus. So what we see here is not in the sidelines. It's not something we shouldn't pay attention to. From the New Testament point of view, we have to see what's going on. Moses later on established the brother-in-law or Levirate marriage as a statute, made it law, when he said, "If brothers dwell together and one of them dies and has no son, the wife of the dead man shall not be married outside the family to a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go into her and take her as his wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And the first son whom she bears shall succeed to the name of his dead brother, that his name may not be blotted out of Israel." Actually, in Matthew 22 and in Mark 12, Jesus, in his conversation with the Pharisees, alludes to this custom, which was enshrined in the law of Moses. So it is something New Testament. The custom of Levirate marriage was already briefly mentioned once in the book of Ruth in Naomi's comment at the end of Ruth 1:11, when she explains to her daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, "Have I yet sons in my womb, that they may become your husbands?" She tells them, "Look, I'm not pregnant. I won't be able to become pregnant, so there will be no brothers of Machlon and Kilion." Only in the Ruth narrative we find the connection between Levirate marriage and the obligation to redeem. In the whole Old Testament, there is no such link as here. And this gives a lot of reason for rabbinics sources to have discussions, and some say it is very clear that Geulah, the duty to redeem, is not Yibum, is not the Levirate marriage. However, it is very clear that there is a logic connection. The Hebrew root Yabam, which is the central root here, which means daughter-in-law or son-in-law, actually appears 3 times in the Old Testament. The first time we already mentioned is when Judah and Tamar meet and the whole story around them. The second time is when it becomes law and Moses talks about it. And the third time is that this term twice is mentioned by Naomi. And it doesn't appear anywhere else in the Tanakh, in the Old Testament. And the whole story of Ruth is about preserving the name of an Israelite on his inheritance, to uphold the name of the deceased upon his inheritance. So this whole setup very much responds to a social reality that Ruth and Naomi go through and that the law in Deuteronomy talks about. So this whole setup is a reaction to the social reality there, and we have here an example that the Bible does not expect us to simply follow rules or to find laws and prohibitions in daily life that we should follow. The Bible is not just a codex of behavioral instructions, but it wants us to understand and to learn the thinking of our Father in heaven, and then to live our lives according to this way of thinking, to be creative in it, and to apply the Bible to our daily life.